Welcome to the High-Tech Investments News Report for week 46. The news report covers some of the many investments projects High-Tech Investments is currently involved in so you can follow our progress. We hope you will enjoy this news feed and look forward to your comments and remarks.
Hi, Bo here from High-Tech Investment, and welcome back to the channel where once again it is time to have a look back, see what happened in the last week in the Forex market, and things are looking pretty okay here at the moment, even though we see some slightly higher drawdowns for the past week. Then overall profits are still coming in. It is actually pouring in quite nicely from all our different EAs that we're going to discuss in here today. And last week we said already we are climbing the charts, we are doing quite well. And for this particular week, yes, it is actually continuing, and that's what it's all about here. Through the news report, you're going to learn exactly what type of profits on what currency pairs that we're going to actually cash in. But we're also going to talk about Expert4x. A couple of videos has come out this particular week. We're going to go through them and tell you which ones that you might want to have a closer look at. And of course, also we have sometimes a bit of good news when it comes to VPS services. This is certainly something that you need to have in place if you are a serious and professional trader. We had it for a long period of time. There's a couple of good updates in here for the service that we are currently using. We're going to explain a bit more about it later on in the video. And of course also the latest from the copy link service, which ones are the best signals, which ones are the best that are producing the very best results in here. Which ones are the ones that you might want to be starting off with? Well, we have put everything together for you as usual, summarized it up, and this is where you're going to find exactly what links that is the ones that work best here right now at the moment. So let's get into it. Let's see exactly how the week went. So again, this week we're going to start with the Wave Liberator for week 46. The top 5 EAs is on your screen right here. Euro, Great British Pounds actually is the best one with $31, 3.1%, and then Aussie Japanese also at $31, 3.1%. So it's a good and stable number you have here for the Wave Liberator. The bottom one is the Euro Swiss francs, still coming in at $28 at 2.8%. So that means that all of them, if this continued for the entire month, they would make more than 10%, and that is definitely our aim. Overall, the portfolio, $149, 3% overall, so that is a good progress. And again, in here we have our balance, 270,000. We have the 22 accounts set up on $10,000 each, but obviously we are trading them on $1,000 accounts. So that means, again, monthly profits is set here at 1%, but it should actually be 10. And we are actually transitioning some of these over to new $1,000 accounts, so it's easier to understand all the way through. But that will not change the trade wins at 69. The pips taken so far at 83,000. And we have trades per day around 11.9 with now a history of 818 days in here, showing that this particular EA actually does very well in the long-term market. Also this week in the entire portfolio did 326. That is slightly better than last week's or the prior week's 302, 279, 148. So we have to go back about a month's time to see some numbers that was similar. So very good week for the Wave Liberator. Same thing here for the RSI Liberator, also for week 46, of course, the top 5 EAs in here. Great British Pounds, Swiss francs, and the Swiss francs has been on the move for the last many weeks. It has been trending, but we are still cashing in on that too with $52, 5.2%. You have another US Swiss francs in here also, coming at $34, 3.4%. And a third one here, Euro Swiss francs, $30 and 3%. And then the bottom one in here is the Canadian Swiss francs, $28, 2.8%. So overall, that portfolio here that has 4 out of 5 on the Swiss francs tells you a bit about what is happening on the currency market at the moment, is $172, 3.4%. And that is again at the top of the 10% mark in here. So very good. We also have the entire portfolio. And again, we have floating profit or loss versus closed profit. So we are nicely in the area of printing money every single week. Monthly return in here is a bit lower on the 7% side, but I believe that is coming up slowly but surely. Again, weekly returns around the 2%. Trade wins about 67, so pretty much. And then pips taken so far, 46,000. Trades per day, 12.8, and a history of 587 days. So also in here, you can see that one has proved its worth over long periods of time. We have actually accounts that have now done several 100%, so basically doubled a couple of times. And the portfolio for this week, 261, is what we got in. That is as good as about 2 weeks ago in here, where we did 287, and the week before was not so good, but 261. We can definitely live with that. That is where most of the time you will find the RSI Liberator in here, simply just cashing in every single week. And the Hedge EA has done the same for this particular week. It was a bit on the low side last week. Here we again also have a lot of Swiss francs and the top 4. So where the Great British Pound Swiss francs is on top, $55, 5.5%. And then the lowest of the Swiss one is the New Zealand Swiss francs, $22, 2.2%. And overall for the entire portfolio, a total of $182, 3.6%. So also here, if you time it by 4, you get the monthly revenue in here for these. Obviously, they vary. It could be more, could be less, but we are still looking at 10% plus also here. And if we have a closer look at the entire portfolio, we can see that the balance is 174, equity 152. This one here has been riddled with drawdowns since especially around April 2025. Monthly returns still set around 8% with weekly returns of 2. Obviously, all the returns has actually come down a bit because of the state of the market. They are trending longer than they ever had before, but we are confident that we can still be within and actually make money, as you can see. Trades per day around 10.5, history 301 days. So things are looking good also for the Hedge EA, and especially with $256 coming in for this particular week. That is a lot better than last week, as I mentioned, where it was low, 97, 145 the week before. So also here you have to go a month back to see some results that are better than what I've shown you here today. Simple Grid Trader for week 46, the top 5 EAs in here, again riddled with Swiss francs. So also again the top 4 Swiss francs Japanese is topping out with $73, 7.3%. And the bottom of the ones with the Swiss francs in here is the Aussie Swiss francs, $40, 4%. Great British Pounds CAT, $25. So there's a bit of a lower side to that, 2.5%. And then total $251 or 5%. And again, this is just on a weekly one. Should that be the case for the entire month, then you would end up with a monthly average of 20%, but that's not how it works at the end of the day. You will have some quiet times after it has been cashing in, but you can see on the graph, it looks very, very good. A few bumps on the road, but that is the way the Simple Grid Trader is actually working. It's not as smooth as you've seen the other ones in here, but it is looking pretty okay. You can see the drawdown actually outpaced for the first time the closed profits. So we haven't seen that one on the Grid Trader before, and that also again shows you what is actually happening in the market with the increase on the drawdown. Monthly returns is still low overall, even though you see the high numbers here. For the entire portfolio is 6.2, weekly returns 1.5. Means again, some are definitely working better than others, and you can go to our website to see the individual ones, pick them out, which ones are the best ones to actually trade. Trade wins are good, however, with 73.5%, pips more than 46,000, trades per day 18.8, and a history now of 214 days. It seems like almost yesterday where we started to introduce this EA, but apparently it has been this long already. $321 is actually what this particular portfolio has made, which is better than last week's 270. But lacking a bit on the side of 580, so a couple of weeks ago, but definitely another strong EA in here. Now, if you are in doubt of which video that we have sent out, testing all these EAs together, well, this is the video. I'll make sure that there is a link for it in the video description below. We're taking our 5 EAs that you can also follow on this news report. We have a look back on the last 3 months, and then we see who is coming out on top. What we do again is a bit of a selection progress, so it means that we are taking the best from each one of them. and then give them up against each other. So we are weeding out some of the weird signals that we have in here. Should be the most stable EAs. If you haven't watched this video yet, then I definitely recommend you if you are interested in trading some of these EAs for the future. Now, I also mentioned that we had a bit of news on the VPS Forex trading. So this is dedicated servers. This is actually what we are running our EAs on. They have always been a very, very good supplier. They have been extremely stable, and they also have a very good 24/7 service in here. If you want to have an upgrade or a downgrade of your servers based on if you don't want to trade so much anymore, or if you have more EAs, they can do that just within hours over the weekend. So you have everything set up and running again. They transfer all your EAs. There's no basically delay in this. So here's what has been changed. They have now weekly backups also. So now included for free with the new smart plans they have set up. Or they have also daily backups with even more protection. So they are now included also in the new boost and max plans in here. And they are available for smart plans just for an additional $4.99. So that also means there's extra safety and security in here. So if you're running trading platforms, the bots that we have here or other critical applications, then your data will be safe and secure. And it is extremely fast also at the same time. So I definitely recommend VPS Forex Traders. I'll make sure also there's a link in the video description below, because these are the ones that have provided me the most stable trading. So since I started off. Now the lucky trader, we also have to discover that one and how well that has gone. Here we again see Swiss francs on top, Euro Swiss francs, $45, 4.5%. And then we see it again at the bottom with the Aussie Swiss francs, $19, 1.9%. And overall for this top 5 portfolio in here, you will have $148, 3%. And that is again over the average of the 10% that we are looking for. So we are very happy with this week's results overall. We can see again, we have a floating profit or loss at the moment. That has gone up, especially more for the lucky trader than any of the other ones, even though they are set up in the similar way. But don't forget, the lucky trader is a bit of a random one where it actually puts the trades on sort of randomly, as I mentioned. So that is also why it's a bit of a gambling EA at the end of the day. But still, trade wins are good with 69.4%. Almost 40,000 pips have been taken now. Trades per day is around 12. And we have more than 1 year history, 379 days. And it also shows here that we have some very good weekly results, 209. That is a lot better. And again, we have to go back for about a month time. So you can see the similarities, even though they have different setups, even though they are different EAs. A lot of them top at the same time in here. They obviously follow the markets, and that's what it's all about. Now I mentioned also there's a couple of videos from Expert4x and Alex. And again, he is actually in this particular video here going over the multiplier risk management strategies. There's actually 3 different ones, and that is basically how to set your grid up. So if you want to have a standard grid size all the way through, or like we actually have an increase in the grid size every single time. Or you can also do that with the lot sizing. You can increase, decrease, depending on your strategies that you have in here. We slightly increase the lot size every single time. But this particular video will show it in more detail. And also how to get actually for this particular video, 1 to 4,000. So 4,000 in leverage. So obviously, if you don't have too much money and you are definitely into these grid trading bots, then that is a good way. So there is a broker that has apparently come out to Expert4x and provided this particular option in here. So I would suggest that you go and have a closer look at that particular video in here. If you are into trading that requires this amount of leverage, but obviously again, it always comes at a cost and it comes at a risk. So please be aware of that. Now I mentioned here also that we have new trade receiver versions and trade sender versions in here. We understand that the copy link service will be updated, but I also heard back from Alex mentioning there's a lot of people that hasn't updated all their gear yet, and everybody needs to be on the same version, otherwise it won't work. So that is why we're having a bit of a delay at the moment. Now we have for the our part, mostly the trade center versions that we have in here, which 6, we have updated that. So to accommodate for the new changes that are coming. But anybody else who wants to receive the signals, they have to update it also from their previous versions, or now up to trade receiver version 7. And once all that is falling into place, that means that you can now go on the copy link service and you can then add all your signals in here. I've put a few forward for you. What I've done again is the floating profit or loss. I don't want to see anything over 300, so you can see they're quite low. There's one at -212, so, and that is within a 1,000 account, so that is still pretty okay. We also have total negative weeks in the last 8 weeks. I don't want to see anything over 300, so we're also good on that particular one. And then gains the last 8 weeks, high to low. I put a few in, and again, this is not the balance, this is the equity. So that means also, because of the drawdowns that I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there is less that has gone in the positive direction in the past week, but you can see still a lot of them, so it's going quite well. So the balance will be going up, and on these particular ones in here, you can see also that the equity has gone up all the way up to 18% in the last 8 weeks. So good and stable results, that is what it's all about. And you can see the weeks that has been linked up to, look at that, 97. So this is a huge one, 58 and 53 weeks. And here means that all of these are good and stable signals that you can go in and hopefully make a bit of money on. So this is what we had for you in this week's news report. As you can see, all our EAs, they are cashing in quite nicely. The market seems to be a-okay, apart from obviously a couple of currency pairs that has been trending now for several weeks, and some of them even more than a month in here. Some of them are looking at reversing. We'll have to see if that's actually going to be the case, because that means also we're going to cash in. The drawdown is going to come down again. It will eventually always. So that is how we have actually built up our entire grid to make sure that we can, even though they go beyond the normal ranges, we can come back, we can cash in, and you will see it first sight here on the news reports every single week, which ones are the best ones to actually do this over long periods of time. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give us a thumbs up and a like, and I'll be back shortly with another video. Until then, hopefully I'll see you on one of my other videos. Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed our news report. So please don't forget to like and add your comment below, as we would love to get your feedback. But before you go, make sure you subscribe to the channel and don't forget to keep the notification bell turned on. That way, you will never miss any of our future videos. We hope to see you back on this channel very soon.